I thought burning the doll would end it. I watched the flames turn it to ash, but the next morning, it was back, clean, whole, sitting on my bed, smiling. That's when I knew. I wasn't dealing with just a haunted object. I was dealing with something alive. If you're into creepy true stories, or just want to hear something that'll keep you up at night, hit that like button and subscribe. Trust me, you don't want to face this kind of thing alone. I first saw the doll in the basement of my aunt's old house. She passed away last year, and I had offered to help clear things out. It was one of those dusty, unfinished basements that always felt colder than the rest of the house, even in summer. While sorting through some boxes near the back wall, I came across this old wooden trunk. It looked like it hadn't been opened in decades. The leather straps were cracked, and the brass latch was stiff with rust. But inside, everything was weirdly clean. No dust, no cobwebs, just neatly folded linens, some faded books, and sitting right on top, like it was waiting for me, was the doll. It looked handmade, porcelain face, dark glass eyes, and a faded blue dress with lace trim. The strangest thing was how clean it looked. No dust on it, no cracks in the porcelain. Just I left it in the trunk and moved on. But later that night, when I was back upstairs, I saw it again, sitting on a chair in the hallway. I thought maybe my cousin found it and brought it up to mess with me, but when I asked, she swore she hadn't touched it. Next morning, it was in the kitchen, just sitting there on the table like it belonged. Still clean, still perfect. I put it back in the basement, but every day after that it kept showing up somewhere new. On the bathroom sink, on the couch, once, even in my car. At first I tried to laugh it off, told myself someone was messing with me. But deep down, something didn't feel like a joke. At first it was little things, things you could explain away. I'd hear a soft thump at night like something falling. Doors that I was sure I'd closed would be wide open. The bathroom light flickered once or twice, but the house was old, so I chalked it up to bad wiring. I didn't want to believe it was anything more. But it wasn't just the doll anymore. I started having nightmares. I'd wake up in a cold sweat, heart pounding, but never able to remember exactly what I dreamed. Just this heavy, lingering fear, like something was watching me while I slept. And then, I started seeing it move. The first time I was brushing my teeth. The doll was on the bathroom shelf behind me. I'd found it there again that morning. I glanced in the mirror and saw it. I swear on everything. Its head turned just slightly, just enough to notice. But when I spun around, it was still, staring at me with those black glass eyes. I stood there, frozen, toothbrush still in my mouth, trying to convince myself I imagined it. But deep down, I knew what I saw. That night I locked the doll in a cabinet. I even stacked a chair in front of the door just to be safe. I didn't sleep much. I kept checking the hallway, listening for sounds. And just before sunrise, when I finally started to doze off, I felt something at the foot of the bed. I sat up slowly, and there it was. The doll, perched on the edge like it had been waiting for me to wake up. I didn't scream. I couldn't. I just stared. And for the first time, I started to feel scared for real. After that night, things went from weird to terrifying. Fast. It wasn't just the doll moving around anymore. The whole house started to feel wrong. The air felt heavier, like it was pressing down on me. I couldn't explain it, but even silence had a sound, like something breathing in the walls. The lights began flickering constantly, especially when I was alone. I'd be walking down the hallway and the bulbs would pop, one after the other, until everything went dark. Once, while standing in the kitchen, every cabinet flew open at the same time. I screamed. Not just from fear, but because I knew no one would believe me. I tried to tell myself I was losing sleep, imagining things. But how do you imagine the sound of tiny footsteps running across the hardwood at 2 in the morning, or the feeling of something brushing against your ankle when no one's there? One night I looked in the mirror after brushing my hair, and behind me, clear as day, I saw a shadow standing in the doorway. Tall, not human, long arms, no face. I turned around in a heartbeat. Nothing there. But when I looked back in the mirror, the reflection was still watching me, and the doll was suddenly sitting on the counter next to me. I hadn't moved it. I know I hadn't moved it. And then came the laughter. Software, childlike, like a little girl giggling in the walls. It echoed through the vents, like it was crawling through the house, closer, closer, until it sounded like it was right outside my bedroom door. That was the first night I locked myself in the closet to sleep, and I still heard it, laughing, right outside. You're on a roll with this, loving the tension so far. I finally broke down and told someone. My best friend, Mia. We've known each other since we were kids, and she's the type to keep it real. No nonsense, no drama. So when I told her about the doll, the footsteps, the laughter, She laughed. Not to be mean, but like I was joking. I didn't blame her. I wouldn't believe me either. But when I showed her the doll, how clean it was, how it kept turning up in different places, she stopped smiling. I could see something shift in her eyes. She told me, half joking, to just burn the damn thing. I laughed with her, but inside I was already thinking about it. Before I did anything, I tried the usual stuff people talk about. I put a Bible under my pillow, slept with the lights on. I even ordered sage and tried smudging the house like I saw online. But no matter what I did, the doll always came back, always perfect, always untouched. I tried throwing it in a dumpster across town. Gone. Done. I even watched the trash truck take it, and I felt okay for the first time in weeks. But the next morning I woke up to that same sick feeling in my chest, and there it was, sitting on the kitchen counter, like it never left. I stopped inviting people over. I didn't want to be the person who's going through something. I kept searching online, digging through old forums, Reddit threads, dark corners of the internet. That's when I found a post, years old, from someone describing a doll exactly like mine. Same glass eyes, same blue dress, same behavior. The last line of their post said, "If you found this doll, I'm so sorry. It doesn't let go. You're keeping the energy high. Love it." Here's the next section, building on everything so far with more intensity and dread. Burning it felt like the only option left. Nothing else worked. I had tried locking it up, throwing it away, even praying over it, but it always came back, always looking new, untouched, like it was never harmed. So I took it deep into the woods. It was late, just before midnight. I parked my car on a dirt path and hiked to a clearing I used to go to as a kid. It felt symbolic somehow, like I was reclaiming something. I brought lighter fluid, matches, and a small metal bucket. I didn't want to just throw it on a bonfire. I wanted to be sure it burned completely. I sat the doll down inside the bucket, doused it in lighter fluid, and lit the match. It caught quickly. Flames climbed over the doll's dress and curled its porcelain skin. For a moment I felt something like relief, like maybe this nightmare was finally over. But then, it screamed. Not like the fire crackling, not like something in my head. A real scream, high-pitched, piercing. It echoed through the trees like a child in pain. I stumbled back, heart racing, trying to convince myself it was the fire reacting with something. Plastic, chemicals, anything. But I knew better. I watched until there was nothing left but black ash. I left it there in the woods. Drove home in silence, hands shaking the whole way. The next morning I woke up to that same awful weight in my chest. The air felt heavy again. I walked into the kitchen. And there it was. The doll. Sitting upright on the table. Clean. Smiling. Like it had never burned. Like it never left. And for the first time, I realized I hadn't gotten rid of it. I'd made it angry. You're killing it with this pacing. Each section is getting creepier in the best way. Let's keep that dread building. Here's the next section. After that night, I stopped sleeping altogether. I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the fire. I heard that scream. And the doll, its eyes were different now. Not just glassy or lifeless. They watched me, like it knew I tried to destroy it. Like it was waiting. I started keeping the lights on in every room all night long. I moved through the house like a guest in someone else's nightmare. I barely ate. I barely spoke. My voice sounded strange to me, like it belonged to someone else. I tried recording it, just to prove I wasn't losing my mind. I set up cameras in every room. I waited. For hours, I watched footage. But the doll never moved. Not once. In every video, it just sat still, staring. And yet somehow, every morning, it was somewhere new. Then it started showing up in photos. Not just recent ones. Old ones. I was scrolling through my phone and saw a picture from my birthday last year. There it was, in the background, just a blurry shape on the couch. I zoomed in. The blue dress, the porcelain face. It was there. I checked more pictures, family gatherings, holidays, even selfies. The doll had always been there. That's when something inside me cracked. This thing hadn't just followed me. It had chosen me. I locked myself in my bedroom for 3 days. No phone, no mirrors. I pushed furniture against the door, covered the windows, unplugged everything. But I still heard it, little feet pacing outside the room, that same quiet laughter in the vents, and at night the soft creak of the floorboards. Getting closer. Until finally, I stopped wondering if something would happen. I finally broke. Not in the dramatic, screaming way they show in movies. It was quieter than that. I sat on the floor for hours one night, just staring at the wall. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just gave up. That's when the whispers started again. But this time, they were clear. A name. Over and over. Eliza. I didn't know who that was, or why I was hearing it, but I typed it into the search bar along with every detail I could remember about the doll. Blue dress, porcelain face, cursed, haunted. I fell into a rabbit hole of old articles, archived threads, and buried stories that had been forgotten. And there she was, Eliza May Thorne, a little girl who died in 1904 in a fire that started in her basement. No official cause, just strange mentions in the paper of unusual circumstances. She was buried with her favorite doll, but the grave was vandalized years later. The doll was never found. Until now. I realized this wasn't just some haunted object. It was a vessel. A home. Eliza wasn't in the doll. She was the doll. And she didn't want peace. She didn't want help. She wanted to stay. To be remembered. To be feared. That night I dreamed of her for the first time. A little girl with burned skin and wide, cracked eyes. She stood at the foot of my bed and whispered, "I told you, I don't like fire. I don't know how this ends. I don't know if it can. The doll is still here. Always clean. Always perfect. And every night she moves a little closer. I think she's waiting for me to break completely. Or worse, let her in. If you've ever seen something you can't explain, or if you know how to destroy something that doesn't want to die, leave it in the comments. I'm still looking for a way to end this before it ends me.